My child, stop. Stop searching for answers in places that cannot hold them. Stop trying to solve what I have already sealed. I know your heart is spinning. I know your mind has played the same memories over and over, trying to find where it broke, trying to find what you did wrong. You have carried this weight long enough to forget what it feels like to stand without it. But I need you to hear me now, not later, not when you feel ready, now. Because what I am about to reveal to you will shift something deep within your spirit. Not just your understanding, your entire being. You have waited for this moment. You have cried for this moment. And though you do not yet recognize it, this is the very moment your soul has been reaching for in the dark. You think this is another ordinary day. You think this is just another voice speaking into the noise. But nothing about this is ordinary. I parted the veil between worlds to reach you. I silenced distractions. I rerouted circumstances. I moved through time and space and the stubborn will of men just to get this single breath into your lungs. Do not treat it lightly. Do not scroll past this like it is content. I am not content. I am your creator, and I have been waiting for you to be still long enough to let me speak. You have felt unseen. I know this, not because I watched from a distance, but because I held you while you wept, and you did not even know it. When you cried in the car, when you cried in the shower, when you pressed your face into your pillow so no one would hear, I was closer than your own skin. I gathered every tear. Not one fell without my awareness. Not one ache escaped my attention. You have wondered in your lowest hours if I had forgotten you. Let me say this plainly, and let it settle into the places that have doubted. I have never forgotten you. Not once. Not for a single second. Your name has never left my lips. Your face has never left my sight. When you felt the most invisible, you were the most watched. When you felt the most abandoned, you were the most held. This season you have walked through, this long, confusing, exhausting season, was not a mistake. It was not punishment. It was not me being silent because I was displeased. I was silent because I was working, and the work was too delicate for explanation. You have asked me why. Why the delay? Why the closed doors? Why the people who left? Why the prayers that seemed to hit the ceiling and fall back down unanswered? Why your story looked nothing like what you thought I promised? I know these questions. I have held them with you. And I have not been offended by them. I have not turned away from your confusion. I have simply waited, because the full answer could only be given when you were ready to receive it. You are ready now. Even if you do not feel ready, even if your hands are still shaking, even if your faith feels like a flicker instead of a fire, that flicker is enough. It has always been enough. I do not require your perfection. I require your presence. And here you are. Here you are. Do you understand what this means? That in a world of 8 billion voices, in a generation drowning in noise and distraction and endless content, you stopped. You turned. You leaned in. Something in you recognized my voice before your mind could catch up. I need you to hear this part clearly. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. What I am about to speak into your spirit will touch the wounds you have covered over, the ones you told yourself had healed, the betrayals you buried so deep you almost forgot where you placed them. But I have not forgotten. I never forget what was done to you in secret. I never overlook the moments when others stood in plain sight, pretending to be for you, while their hands were already reaching to take what I had given you. You do not need to name them to me. I was there. I saw every expression they made when your back was turned. I heard every word spoken about you when you were not in the room. I watched them smile at your face and sharpen their tongues against your name. You do not need to convince me that you were wronged. I am the one who counted every wrong. And still I held your silence. Not because they deserved your mercy, not because their actions were excusable, but because I was doing something in the unseen that required your hands to stay open instead of clenched. I was repositioning you. I was removing your heart from the battlefield so it would not become like the hearts of those who wounded you. You have wondered, in the quiet hours, if your refusal to retaliate made you weak, if your decision to stay silent instead of exposing them meant you lost, if walking away was surrender instead of strategy. Let me answer you now with the weight of heaven behind every word. Your silence was not weakness. It was the most powerful weapon I could have placed in your hands, because while they were busy watching for your retaliation, waiting for your outburst, preparing their defense against your accusations, I was working. They planned for your reaction. They armored themselves against your anger, but they did not plan for your peace. They did not prepare for your stillness. They did not know how to fight what they could not provoke. And so they stood confused when you did not crumble. They whispered, "Why isn't she fighting back? Why won't he defend himself? Where is the rage we expected?" But I had already hidden you in the cleft of the rock. I had already covered you with my hand. Their words reached your ears, but could not reach your spirit. Their accusations grazed your reputation, but could not touch your identity, and they could not understand why their arrows kept falling short. I was the shield you did not see. I was the armor beneath your skin. You thought you were surviving on your own strength. You thought your composure was sheer willpower, but it was me, breathing calm into your chest when everything in you wanted to scream. It was me, holding your tongue still when every fiber of your being wanted to finally speak and make them hear. It was me, giving you the grace to walk away with dignity while they stood waiting for a spectacle. Oh, my child, if you could see what I protected you from, if you could see the traps they set that you never stepped into, the snares hidden beneath kind invitations, the alliances they tried to form against you that dissolved before they could take shape, the accusations they rehearsed that never found a platform, the secrets they planned to expose that I buried in silence. You think you lost ground because you stepped back, but stepping back removed you from the blast radius. I did not lead you away from the battle because you were too weak to fight. I led you away because the battle was never yours. It was always mine, and I do not lose. There were those who owed you loyalty and gave you betrayal instead. People you defended when no one else would. People you believed in when their own faith faltered. People you love when loving them cost you something real. You gave them pieces of your heart, and they traded those pieces for approval from your enemies. I saw it. I saw the moment you realized what they had done. I saw your face change when the truth arrived, not all at once, but in fragments. A comment here, an absence there, a sudden coldness where warmth used to live. You replayed every conversation, searching for the moment it shifted. You wondered what you had done wrong, what you had failed to be, what you could have said differently. Nothing. The shift was never about you. It was always about them. Their inability to carry the weight of your calling. Their discomfort with the light growing brighter within you. their jealousy disguised as concern, their insecurity dressed up as criticism. And still, you prayed for them. You asked me to bless the very people who had wounded you. You interceded for their marriages, their children, their futures. You did not curse them in the dark. You did not wish their pain returned upon their heads. You laid their names at my feet and asked me to be kind to them. Do you understand what that cost you? Do you understand what that meant to me? While they slept peacefully, you carried their weight. While they moved forward unburdened, you lingered in the doorway of your own heart and refused to lock them out. That is not weakness, my child. That is the very nature of your Father reflected in you. That is the image of God still intact beneath all the dust and disappointment. I have not forgotten what they did, but I have also not forgotten what you did. You chose love when hatred was justified. You chose silence when exposure was deserved. You chose the narrow path of forgiveness while they danced on the broad road of betrayal. And in that choice, you became something they could not touch. You became someone they could not break. Now hear this. Their time of account is coming, not because I am vengeful, not because I keep score the way humans do, but because I am just. And justice is not vengeance. It is restoration. It is the setting right of what was made wrong. It is the lifting up of what was pushed down. It is the vindication of the silent and the exposure of the hidden. They will see what they tried to bury, not because I will shame them publicly for sport, but because your rising will be too bright to ignore. Your elevation will be too obvious to explain away. Your blessing will be too evident to attribute to luck or timing or coincidence. They will know, in the depths of their spirit, that I am the one who lifted you, and they will remember. They will remember the whispers, the exclusion, the invitations you stopped receiving, the tables they made sure you were not seated at. They will remember every small death they orchestrated for your reputation, every closed door they hoped would stay closed forever. And they will see that I opened what no man could shut. This is not about revenge. You must understand that. Your heart is too precious to me to allow bitterness to take root in the soil I have been so carefully tilling. This is about witness. This is about testimony. This is about every silent sufferer who will see your story and know that I am real, that I see, that I hear, that I act. You are not being elevated to shame your enemies. You are being elevated to show the world that faithfulness has a reward, that staying quiet when every instinct screams to fight back is not losing, it is winning in a language the world has forgotten how to speak. So release them, my beloved, not for their sake, for yours. Release the weight of what they owe you, not because they have paid the debt, they have not. Not because they deserve your forgiveness, they do not. Release them because the debt is too large for them to ever repay, and holding it has only bent your back. I will be your repayment. I will be your vindication. I will be everything they could never give you, and everything you were never meant to find in human hands. You were never meant to be understood by them. You were meant to be known by me. You were never meant to be celebrated by crowds who would turn on you at the slightest shift of wind. You were meant to be chosen by a king whose loyalty does not waver. And you are chosen. You have always been chosen. Even when they made you feel like an outsider in rooms you helped build. Even when they acted as though your presence was tolerated rather than treasured. Even when they passed you over for recognition, for promotion, for the simple acknowledgement that you existed and mattered. I saw it all, and I was never indifferent. My silence was not absence. My patience was not permission. I was simply waiting for the right moment, the perfect intersection of your readiness and their awareness, the precise second when your vindication would carry the greatest weight and your testimony would travel the farthest. That moment is approaching. You can feel it, can't you? Something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere around you. The heaviness that is pressed against your lungs is lifting. The fog that obscured your path is thinning. You are beginning to see outlines where before there was only mist. Trust what you are feeling. Trust the holy anticipation rising in your chest. You have been silent long enough, but your silence is about to become the most powerful sermon they have ever witnessed. Not because you will finally speak every accusation you have carried, but because your life will speak louder than your words ever could. They underestimated you. They thought your gentleness was weakness. They thought your patience was passivity. They thought your refusal to fight back meant you had no weapons. But you have been holding the most dangerous weapon of all. You have been holding your peace. And in your stillness, I have been moving mountains. Let them wonder how it happened. Let them search for natural explanations. Let them attribute your sudden breakthrough to luck, to connections, to timing, to anything except me. I do not need their acknowledgement. I only need your trust. And you are giving it to me, slowly, trembling, but giving it still. That is enough. So rest now in this truth. Every betrayal was witnessed. Every secret was recorded. Every tear you cried in private has been stored in my bottle and inscribed in my book. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was overlooked. Nothing was outside my reach. You are coming out of this season with something they do not have. Tested faith, proven character, a heart that has walked through fire and emerged not scorched, but refined. They will see it soon, and when they do, when they finally see the full weight of what I have been building in your silence, they will not be able to deny that someone has been with you. Someone has been for you, and that someone has never, not for one moment, taken his eyes off you. My beloved, come closer. There is something I need you to understand about the waiting. Not just that you waited, but why. Not just that doors closed, but what I was doing on the other side of them. You have carried the weight of delay like a wound that never fully healed. You have looked at others who seemed to step into their purpose with such ease and wondered why your path was littered with obstacles, detours, and silence. Today, I am pulling back the curtain. You think you were delayed. You think you were passed over. You think your time was stolen from you while you stood helplessly watching your life move in slow motion. But I tell you the truth. You were not delayed. You were protected, and the very things you mourned as losses were the walls I built around your destiny. There were doors you wanted me to open. Doors you stood before, pressing your hands against the wood, praying for it to give way. Doors you believed held everything you had been waiting for: acceptance, provision, love, purpose. You could hear the celebration on the other side. You could see the light bleeding through the cracks, and still, the door remained closed. You thought I was saying no. I was saying not yet. But even more than that, I was saying not there. Because that door, my child, was not leading to your future. It was leading to a diminished version of it. Behind that door was an imitation of what I had prepared, a counterfeit calling, a blessing that would have soured in your hands, a promotion that would have cost you your peace, a relationship that would have divided your heart, a platform that would have required you to compromise the very message I placed in your mouth. You could not see what was on the other side. You only saw that it was closed. You only felt the rejection of the wood against your knuckles. But I saw the other side clearly. I saw what was waiting for you there, and I loved you too much to let you have it. This is what you have misunderstood about my silence. When I did not answer, it was not because I was indifferent to your longing. It was because I was fiercely protective of your future. I am not a father who gives his children stones when they ask for bread. But I am also not a father who gives his children bread that is poisoned, even when they beg for it. You begged for doors I had closed, and in my mercy, I kept them shut. There were people you wanted me to keep in your life, people whose departure carved hollow spaces in your chest, people you pleaded with me to return, to restore, to reconcile. You replayed conversations. You analyzed your own failures. You wondered what you could have done differently to make them stay. But I was the one who released them from you. Not because they were evil, not because they intended you harm. Some of them loved you as much as they were capable of loving. Some of them never meant to wound you, but they could not carry what I was about to place inside you. They were not equipped for the weight of your calling. Their presence, even their well-meaning presence, would have hindered the very work I was doing in the secret place. So I gently, and sometimes not so gently, removed them. You felt it as abandonment. I intended it as insulation, because I knew what was coming toward you. I knew the assignments that would be dispatched against your destiny. I knew the spiritual warfare that would intensify the closer you came to your breakthrough. And I could not allow you to face those battles surrounded by people who would drain your faith instead of strengthening it. I was not punishing you with loneliness. I was preparing you for battle. And the loneliness itself, the long nights, the empty chairs, the silence where voices used to be, that loneliness was not emptiness. It was a forge. I was in that forge with you, heating and hammering and shaping you into someone who could carry what I am about to release. You cannot carry double-edged anointing with one hand still holding on to people who cannot survive the fire. You cannot step into the fullness of your authority while still depending on the validation of those who do not recognize your calling. You cannot become a dwelling place for my glory and remain cluttered with the opinions, expectations, and approvals of those who cannot even see the Spirit. Not because you were not worthy of companionship, not because I delight in your isolation, but because I am building something in you that requires undivided attention. A master craftsman does not work on a delicate piece in the middle of a crowded marketplace. He retreats to the quiet. He closes the door. He focuses every ounce of his skill on the creation taking shape beneath his hands. You have been beneath my hands, and I have not been careless with you. Every closed door was a deliberate act of love. Every person who walked away was gently escorted to the exit. Every delay was a divine intervention. Every silence was my voice speaking in a frequency you could not yet interpret. Do you remember the dreams I gave you? The one so vivid you woke with your heart pounding and your spirit certain that something significant was coming. You held those dreams close in the beginning. You turned them over in your hands like precious stones. You whispered them to me in the dark and asked if they were really from me. I confirmed them again and again. And then the waiting began. The dreams started to feel like mockeries. The promises seemed to mock your present reality. You stopped speaking them aloud. You stopped turning them over in your hands. You placed them in a drawer somewhere deep in your spirit and tried to forget they existed because remembering hurt too much. But I never forgot. I never set those dreams aside. While you stopped speaking of them, I was still working toward them. While you buried them beneath the weight of disappointment, I was excavating the ground where they would take root. While you convinced yourself they were naive fantasies of a younger, more innocent version of yourself, I was aligning constellations and orchestrating nations and positioning resources for their fulfillment. Nothing I promise returns to me void. Nothing I speak falls to the ground unfinished. If I gave you that dream, it was not to torment you. It was not to tease you with a future I never intended to give you. I placed that vision in your spirit because it is the truest thing about you. It is the blueprint of your destiny. It is the song you were created to sing, and the silence of these years has only been the pause between verses. You thought the song had ended. The song has not even reached its chorus. And the chorus, my child, the chorus is coming. It is building even now. The instruments are being tuned. The voices are gathering. The audience is taking their seats. And you, who thought you had been forgotten backstage, are about to step into the light. But you needed this preparation. You needed to learn how to carry anointing without arrogance. You needed to learn how to receive validation from me alone, so that human praise could never corrupt you and human rejection could never destroy you. You needed to learn how to be faithful in obscurity, so that visibility would not become a snare. You have learned these lessons, not perfectly, but truly. There is a strength in you now that was not there before the waiting. There is a stillness in your spirit that only comes from having your expectations shattered and rebuilt on a foundation that cannot be shaken. There is a discernment in your heart that only develops when you have been betrayed enough times to recognize the difference between sincerity and performance. You have been refined, not rejected, refined. The fire was not meant to consume you. It was meant to burn away everything in you that was not me. The pressure was not meant to break you. It was meant to transform your faith into something unbreakable. The waiting was not meant to disappoint you. It was meant to develop a patience that would allow you to sustain the blessing once it arrived. Many receive breakthrough and cannot keep it. Their character cannot support the weight of their calling. Their hands were not prepared to hold what I wanted to give them. But you have been in training. Every closed door was a lesson. Every silent season was a course. Every loss was a prerequisite for the gain that is now approaching. And you have passed the test, not because you never doubted, not because you never wept, not because you never questioned me in the dark. You passed because you stayed. You stayed when staying made no sense. You stayed when your feelings screamed at you to leave. You stayed when your circumstances argued louder than my voice. You stayed not because you understood, but because somewhere in the deepest part of you, you knew that I am faithful. That knowing has grown roots now. Roots that will hold you steady in the winds that are coming. Roots that will draw nourishment from hidden springs when the surface is dry. Roots that will anchor you so deeply that no storm can uproot you. Do you feel how much stronger you are than when this season began? Do you feel the difference between the version of yourself that first entered this wilderness and the one now standing at its edge? You are not the same. You could not be the same. The wilderness does not leave anyone unchanged. And you are leaving this wilderness, not because you finally found the exit, but because I am coming to lead you out. I am parting the thicket. I am clearing the path. I am opening doors that no man can shut, doors that have been waiting for this exact moment, doors that lead not to counterfeit blessings, but to the very inheritance I have been holding in trust for you since before the foundations of the earth. You thought you were forgotten in the waiting room. You were being prepared for the throne room, and the King is about to enter. My beloved, the shift is here. Do not look around for thunder. Do not wait for the ground to tremble beneath your feet. The greatest shifts in the kingdom arrive in whispers before they become roars. And this whisper, this holy, certain knowing that has been rising in your chest as you have read these words, this is the signal. The waiting is over. Not gradually, not eventually, now. I am turning the page while your hand is still resting on the previous chapter. I am opening the door while you are still standing in the hallway. I am calling your name while the crowd is still looking elsewhere. And by the time they realize what is happening, you will already be walking into what I have prepared. You have felt it, haven't you? A restlessness that is not anxiety. An anticipation that is not impatience. A stirring deep in your spirit that you could not explain but could not ignore. You have tried to suppress it, telling yourself not to hope too much, not to expect too greatly, not to risk disappointment again. But the stirring will not be silenced. It is the sound of dry bones rattling before they rise. It is the vibration of prison doors loosening from their hinges. It is the frequency of heaven bleeding into your atmosphere and shifting every molecule of your circumstances. This is not wishful thinking. This is prophecy manifesting. I have spoken, and I do not take back my words. I have decreed, and no power in heaven or on earth can reverse what I have released. The blessing that has been delayed is now accelerating. The breakthrough that has been contested is now breaking through. The elevation that has been opposed is now ascending with a force that will scatter every obstacle like chaff before the wind. You think you know what I am about to do. You have imagined it, perhaps, rehearsed it in your quiet moments, pictured the phone call, the letter, the unexpected opportunity, the long-awaited apology. You have played the scene in your mind so many times it feels almost worn, almost familiar. But I am about to exceed your imagination, because the human heart, even the most hopeful human heart, can only conceive of blessing within the boundaries of what it has seen and known. You measure possibility by past experience. You calculate breakthrough by previous breakthroughs. You build your expectations on the foundation of what has already happened. But I am doing a new thing, not an improved version of the old thing, not a slightly better outcome than what you lost, not a compensation package for what was taken from you. I am releasing something that has no precedent in your life, something so clearly beyond your ability, your connections, your qualifications, your strategy, that there will be no explanation except one: me. I am about to make myself undeniable to you, not because you need more proof of my existence, not because your faith has been too weak and requires supernatural reinforcement, but because the testimony I am building in your life is not only for you, it is for everyone who has watched your struggle, everyone who whispered that you would never recover, everyone who assumed your silence meant surrender, everyone who wrote the final chapter of your story without consulting the author. They will see that what they buried, I raised. What they dismissed, I elevated. What they mocked, I honored. What they excluded, I seated at the table of belonging. Not because you fought for your place, because you trusted me to give it to you, and I am giving it. There is a recognition coming to you that you did not solicit and cannot control. Doors opening before you that you did not knock on. Favor extended to you that you did not earn. Connections orchestrated that you did not pursue. This is the nature of divine acceleration. It does not follow the laborious path of human striving. It cuts across timelines. It collapses seasons. It accomplishes in days what you thought would take years. Do not question it. Do not sabotage it by analyzing whether you deserve it. Do not stand at the threshold of your breakthrough and refuse to enter because you are still counting your unworthiness. I know what you are. I have always known. I knew every failure before you committed it. I knew every weakness before it manifested. I knew every wound that would shape your reactions and every blind spot that would cost you dearly. And knowing all of it, every imperfection, every inconsistency, every moment of doubt and disobedience, I still chose you. Not because you were qualified, but because I qualify whom I call. And I am calling you now, not to the back of the room, not to the waiting area, not to the apprenticeship of endless preparation. I am calling you to the front. I am calling you to the platform. I am calling you to the seat of influence that has been held for you since before time began. Do not shrink. Do not deflect. Do not insist that others are more deserving, more ready, more worthy. That is not humility. That is disobedience. When the master of the feast invites you to the table, you do not argue that you belong in the kitchen. You take your seat and give thanks. Your seat is waiting. And the ones who thought they would be sitting there, the ones who positioned themselves, promoted themselves, campaigned for themselves, they will watch in wonder as you are ushered past them to the place I have prepared. This is not cruelty. This is justice. This is the reversal of every wrong assumption, every false accusation, every deliberate overlooking. This is the kingdom manifesting in your life. And the kingdom does not operate by human politics or human credentials or human favoritism. The kingdom operates by divine appointment. And you, my child, have been appointed. The reversal has already begun. You may not see it with your physical eyes yet. The evidence may still be gathering in the unseen. The paperwork may still be processing in heavenly courts. The hearts of those who will deliver your breakthrough may still be turning, slowly, imperceptibly, like ships guided by a wind they do not understand. The verdict has been rendered. The stone has already been rolled away, even if you are still standing in front of the sealed tomb. Step forward. The ground beneath you is about to shift. The economy of your life is about to restructure. Relationships that have been barren are about to conceive purpose. Creativity that has been dammed is about to flood its banks. Opportunities that have hidden from you are about to seek you out. You will not need to chase your blessing anymore. Your blessing is chasing you. And when it overtakes you, when the fullness of what I am releasing finally reaches you, you will understand why the wait was necessary. Not because I was withholding good things from you, but because I was protecting you from receiving them too soon, when you were not yet ready to steward them. You are ready now. I have made you ready. Every lonely night sanded down your rough edges. Every disappointment carved out space for deeper faith. Every betrayal taught you to anchor your identity in me alone. Every closed door trained you to recognize my voice when I lead you to the open one. You are not the person who began this journey. That person could not have carried what I am about to place in your hands. That person would have been crushed by the weight of this anointing. That person would have used this platform to serve their own ego, their own insecurity, their own unhealed need for validation. But you have been emptied, not destroyed, emptied. Emptied of self-reliance, emptied of the need to prove yourself, emptied of the hunger for human approval, empty of the illusions you once held about how your life would unfold and who would walk beside you and what success would look like when it finally came. And in that emptying, I have filled you with my peace that does not depend on circumstances, with my joy that does not require favorable conditions, with my love that flows toward you freely, without merit, without qualification, without end. This is what you carry now. This is what the world will see when they look at your sudden, undeniable, inexplicable elevation. They will see me. They will feel me. They will be drawn to the light burning within you, a light they cannot manufacture, cannot purchase, cannot replicate. And they will ask. They will ask what changed. They will ask how you recovered. They will ask where you found the strength to rise again. They will ask for the secret of your peace, the source of your joy, the foundation of your unshakable confidence, not from a script, not from religious obligation, not from the pressure to perform spirituality. You will speak from the overflow of what you have lived. You will speak as one who was buried and dug himself out, who was silenced and found her voice, who was forgotten and was remembered by the only one whose remembrance matters. And your testimony will become their invitation. This is the shift, my beloved. Not just for you, but through you. The blessing I am releasing is not a destination. It is a distribution center. I am positioning you not merely to receive, but to release. Not merely to be elevated, but to elevate others. Not merely to be seen, but to see the unseen and call them forward. This is your inheritance. This is your destiny. This is the moment you were made for, and it is closer than your next breath. My beloved, now comes the part you have hardly dared to imagine. Not just rescue, not just vindication, not just the opening of doors that were once closed against you. I am speaking of something deeper now, something that reaches beyond your circumstances and into the very tissue of your heart. I am speaking of restoration, not the cautious, partial restoration you have learned to expect from human hands, not the kind that comes with fine print and unspoken conditions, not the fragile peace treaty between warring factions of your own soul. I am speaking of full, overflowing, shameless, scandalous restoration, the kind that leaves no trace of the famine except the testimony of how abundantly I filled your storehouses. Not just time, not just opportunities, not just relationships that mattered to you. You have lost pieces of yourself along this journey, pieces you did not even realize were missing until you caught glimpses of them in old photographs, in memories that surfaced unexpectedly, in the quiet recognition that you used to laugh more freely, trust more easily, hope more recklessly. You have wondered if those pieces would ever return, if the person you were before the long waiting would ever surface again, if the innocence that was stolen from you could be recovered, if the confidence that was shattered could be reconstructed, if the joy that leaked out through 1,000 small disappointments could ever fill you again. I tell you today, not only will those pieces return, they will be multiplied. This is my nature, my child. I do not restore in equal measure. I restore in exceeding measure. I do not return what was taken. I return what was taken plus what was lost while you waited. I do not heal wounds and leave scars that ache in cold weather. I weave those scars into testimonies that heal others. I do not rebuild on the original foundation. I expand the borders and raise the ceilings and add rooms you never thought to request. You think you know what restoration looks like, but you are about to experience restoration you do not have categories for. The relationships I am restoring will not look like the relationships you lost. Some of them will be the same faces, but transformed. Hearts that were hard have been softening in the silence. Eyes that were blind are beginning to see. Ears that were closed are starting to hear. Those who walked away from you in confusion or accusation or simple cowardice have been walking through their own wilderness, and many of them are emerging with the same realization that has been growing in you. They need you. Not the version of you that needed their validation. Not the version of you that would have done anything to keep them close. Not the version of you that made yourself small so they would feel comfortable. They need the you that has been forged in fire. The you that carries unshakable peace. The you that loves without clinging, serves without depleting, gives without exhausting your own source. That you is irresistible, not because you have perfected charisma or mastered the art of influence, but because I am in you now in ways I could not inhabit the earlier version. You have been excavated. You have been hollowed and filled. You have become a vessel large enough to carry my presence without leaking. And people, even people who once rejected you, will be drawn to that presence. Not all of them. Some will keep their distance. Some will be unable to face what their mistreatment of you reveals about themselves. Some will remain imprisoned by their own pride, their own fear, their own unhealed wounds. You will release them, not bitterly, not triumphantly. You will release them with the quiet compassion of one who knows what it costs to remain trapped. But others, many others, will return, and you will recognize them not by their apologies, though some will come, not by their explanations, though some will try, but by the weight of presence they carry. The ones I am sending back to you will not drain you. They will not require you to perform. They will not demand the old versions of you that no longer exist. They will honor the boundaries you have learned to set. They will celebrate the strength you have developed. They will be safe, because I have made them safe. And the ones I do not send back, the ones who remain in the distance, the ones whose absence continues, you will finally understand that their departure was not a subtraction. It was a filtration. I was removing from your life everyone who could not carry the weight of your destiny. I was clearing space for the tribe that is even now assembling around you. You have felt alone. I was removing the wrong people so you would have room to recognize the right ones when they appeared. And they are appearing now, not in a flood that overwhelms your newly established boundaries, not in a desperate rush that reopens unhealed wounds. They are appearing with the unhurried certainty of divine appointment. This is your tribe, not your admirers, not your competitors, not your critics, your tribe. Those who see you clearly and choose you anyway. Those who speak truth without cruelty and offer grace without enabling. Those who celebrate your elevation because they know it does not diminish their own. Those who have been prepared as you have been prepared for this sacred alignment. I am bringing you together, not for shallow fellowship, not for transactional networking, not for the illusion of community that collapses at the first sign of inconvenience. I am weaving you together for kingdom purpose. You will accomplish together what you could never accomplish alone. Your combined anointing will break yokes that have held generations captive. Your united faith will move mountains that have stood immovable since before your grandparents drew breath. This is not hyperbole. This is blueprint, and you are about to see it manifest. Your abundance will not be limited to relationships. I am restoring your creativity. The ideas that dried up in the drought are beginning to stir beneath the surface. I am restoring your physical vitality. The exhaustion that has been your constant companion is lifting. I am restoring your capacity for joy, not the fragile happiness that depends on favorable circumstances, but the deep, unassailable joy that flows from union with me, not the polite, measured laughter of social obligation, not the hollow sound of pretending to be fine. You will laugh the way you laughed when you were young and untroubled and fully present in each moment. You will laugh until your stomach hurts and your eyes water and the sound of your own joy surprises you. You will create again. The gifts I placed in you, the ones you set aside because they seemed impractical, unprofitable, irrelevant to survival, are stirring. They were never meant to be merely ornamental. They were meant to be channels of my life flowing through you to a world starving for authenticity. Your songs will heal someone. Your words will free someone. Your hands will build something that outlasts you. Not cautiously, not protectively, not with one foot already retreating. You will love with the open-hearted courage of one who has been deeply wounded and deeply healed. You will love because you cannot help it, because I loved you first, and that love has become the source you draw from. This is the restoration I am bringing, not the careful, limited restoration you have begged for with clenched hands and bracing expectations. I am not a God of barely enough. I am not a God of just surviving. I am not a God of minimum wage blessings and entry-level grace. I am the God of exceeding abundance. I am the God of pressed down, shaken together, running over. I am the God of barns too small to hold the harvest and nets breaking under the weight of the catch. And you are my child, which means you do not inherit scarcity. You do not inherit barely enough. You do not inherit survival rations and emergency provisions. You inherit the full portion of the firstborn. You inherit the unsearchable riches of Christ. You inherit abundance that has no bottom and provision that has no end. Stop apologizing for it. Stop feeling guilty before it even arrives. Stop rehearsing reasons why you do not deserve it. Of course, you do not deserve it. Grace is not getting what you deserve. Mercy is not receiving what you have earned. Favor is not payment for services rendered. If you could earn it, it would not be grace. If you could deserve it, it would not be mercy. If you could achieve it through striving, it would not be favor. It is gift, pure gift, undeserved, unearned, unrepayable gift. And I am giving it to you freely, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. You belong to me, and I take care of what belongs to me. So receive it. Open your hands and receive it, not with the desperate grasping of one who fears it will be snatched away, not with the suspicious scanning of one who is waiting for the fine print. Receive it with the open, trusting, delighted acceptance of a child being handed exactly what they have always wanted. I am not setting conditions on your blessing. I am not waiting for you to prove yourself worthy. I am not holding back one portion until you demonstrate better stewardship. I am pouring out, and the pouring has already begun. Can you taste it? That sweetness on your tongue that is not from anything you have eaten? Can you feel it? That warmth spreading through your chest that is not from any external source? Can you hear it? That sound, distant but approaching, like many waters, like thunder rolling toward you from a sky that has been silent for years. That is the abundance. And it will not stop at filling your emptiness. It will overflow your containers and spill into the lives of everyone around you. Your children will eat from your table and be satisfied. Your friends will drink from your cup and be refreshed. Your enemies will see your harvest and be confronted with the reality of a God who keeps his promises. You will not be able to contain it. You will not need to. This is the restoration I have prepared for you. Not the restoration that returns you to where you were before the breaking. That would be insufficient. That would be an insult to everything you have survived. I am not returning you to your past. I am propelling you into a future that your past could never have produced. You will not recognize yourself. Not because you have lost who you are, but because you have finally become who you were always meant to be. The version of yourself you glimpsed in dreams and dismissed as impossible. The version that carries authority without arrogance, influence without insecurity, power without the need to control. The version that reflects my image so clearly that others see me when they look at you. This is who you are becoming. This is who you have always been becoming. And the process is nearly complete. My beloved, we have come to the edge of this speaking. Not because I have nothing left to say. I will never run out of words for you. Not because your need for my voice has been satisfied. You were made for communion with me, and that hunger will never fully leave you. We have come to the edge because you have received what you need for this moment. The seed has been planted. The soil has been prepared. The rain has been promised. Not the trusting that waits passively, watching the horizon for signs of my arrival. Not the trusting that holds my words at arm's length, examining them for hidden conditions. Not the trusting that says, I believe, while the heart remains braced for disappointment. I am speaking of the trusting that rests, the trusting that releases outcomes from white-knuckled hands and places them gently on the altar. The trusting that closes its eyes and leans backward, fully, without reservation, into the arms of a father who has never dropped a single child. This is the trusting I have been cultivating in you through every season of silence, every unanswered question, every door that remained closed no matter how hard you pushed. This is the trusting that cannot be manufactured through positive thinking or spiritual discipline. It can only be forged in the fire of unmet expectations and unrelieved suffering. And you have emerged, not with silver faith, shiny and ornamental, easily tarnished. You have emerged with gold faith, tested, purified, refined. Faith that does not require constant reassurance. Faith that does not crumble when circumstances contradict it. Faith that knows, with a knowing deeper than logic, that I am good and I am faithful and I am working all things together for your good. This faith is your inheritance. This faith is your anchor. This faith is the foundation upon which everything else will be built. And now, my child, I am asking you to use it. Not for one more season of desperate prayer, pleading with me to move on your behalf. Not for one more round of striving, trying to position yourself correctly enough to receive what I have already promised. I am asking you to use your faith to rest in the finished work of my love for you, to rest in the irreversible decree of your vindication, to rest in the certainty of your restoration before you see a single evidence of it. This is the highest form of faith, not the faith that screams for my attention, but the faith that falls asleep in the boat during the storm. Not because the storm is not real, not because the waves are not threatening, but because the one who rests knows that the storm does not have the final word. I have the final word, and I have spoken. You are mine. You are chosen. You are protected. You are prepared. You are positioned. You are about to step into the fullness of everything I have been building in your life since before you drew your first breath. The waiting is not a void you must endure until the real story begins. The waiting was the story. Every tear was a sentence. Every disappointment was a paragraph. Every silent, confused, desperate prayer was a chapter. The waiting was not empty time. It was formation time. And now that the formation is complete, the revealing can begin. You will not need to announce yourself. You will not need to campaign for recognition. You will not need to convince anyone of your worth or your calling or your authority. I will announce you. I will present you to the people who need to receive from you. I will open doors that no strategic networking could have opened. I will arrange divine appointments that look like coincidence to the natural eye, but are in fact the precise intersection of your preparation and the world's need. You think you have been hidden, but you have been incubated, and the incubation period is ending. What comes forth from you now will not be a fragile, premature birth requiring constant intervention to survive. What comes forth will be fully formed, fully ready, fully equipped for the assignment I have prepared. You will not enter your calling mewling and helpless, dependent on others to sustain you. You will enter your calling with teeth and strength and the knowledge of how to feed yourself on the bread of heaven. I have taught you this in the wilderness. I have taught you that my words are food. I have taught you that my presence is sustenance. I have taught you that my peace is provision. You have learned to draw from a source that cannot be depleted, cannot be stolen, cannot be contaminated by the circumstances surrounding you. This is the secret of the ones I use greatly. Not talent, not charisma, not connections, not timing, not luck. Source. They have learned to draw from the source, and you have learned this too. So now, as you stand at the threshold of everything you have waited for, I am not asking you to summon more faith. I am not asking you to pray longer, or believe harder, or declare more boldly. I am asking you to look at me, really look at me, and recognize the face of the one who has been with you since before you knew to call my name. I am not the God of distant thrones and unapproachable holiness, though I am that, and I have not diminished my glory. I am the God who bent low to wash feet. I am the God who wept at a grave. I am the God who breathed on frightened men and said, "Peace be with you." I am the God who gathered Jerusalem's children under his wings like a hen gathering her brood. I am the God who has been gathering you under wing after wing after wing, protecting you from predators you never saw, sheltering you from storms you never even knew were passing over, warming you in seasons when your own heat had faded to memory, and I am still gathering you now. Even as you read these final words, I am drawing you closer. I am tucking you into the hollow of my presence. I am covering you with feathers that have shielded 1,000 generations of beloved children before you. You are safe. You have always been safe. The times you felt most abandoned were the times I was holding you closest. So close you could not see my face, only feel the pressure of my embrace. The prayers you thought hit the ceiling and fell back down unanswered, I caught them before they fell. I gathered them like incense. I placed them in golden bowls. I turned them into fragrance, that fills the throne room of heaven. None of your words were wasted. None of your tears were unnoticed. None of your pain was purposeless. You have asked me, in your deepest moments of honesty, if any of it mattered. If the years of striving and surviving and barely holding on were worth anything in the economy of eternity. If your life, your ordinary, unspectacular, often disappointing life, has made any difference at all. Oh, my child, if you could see what I see, if you could see the souls who will be saved because you refuse to abandon your faith, if you could see the marriages that will be restored because you modeled forgiveness, if you could see the generations who will call your name blessed because you planted seeds you will never harvest, if you could see the crown being woven for you moment by moment, sacrifice by sacrifice, tear by tear, you would stop asking if it matters. You would fall to your knees and weep at the extravagance of what I am preparing for you. Not because you earned it, because you are mine. So go now, my beloved, not away from me. You could never move beyond my reach. Go forward into the life that is waking up around you. Go forward into the open doors and the divine appointments and the sudden reversals. Go forward into the restoration and the abundance and the joy that has been waiting for you. Go forward knowing that I go before you, not as a distant guide pointing the way from afar, not as a taskmaster driving you toward destinations you did not choose. I go before you as the shepherd who has already scouted the pasture, already identified the still waters, already driven out the predators who once claimed this territory as their own. The land I am leading you into is not unfamiliar to me. I have prepared it for you, and I have prepared you for it. Not perfect, not finished, not without need of continued grace and growth and guidance, but ready. Ready for the assignment I have entrusted to you. Ready for the relationships I am bringing across your path. Ready for the influence I am releasing into your hands. Ready for the testimony your life is about to become. You are ready because I have made you ready. And I do not call the unprepared. I do not send the unequipped. I do not appoint the unqualified. I qualify those I call. I equip those I send. I prepare those I appoint. And I have called you, sent you, appointed you for such a time as this. Do not be afraid of the scale of what I am showing you. Do not shrink back from the magnitude of the destiny I have placed before you. The same hand that parted seas and raised the dead and silenced the mouths of lions is the hand that holds you. The same voice that spoke galaxies into existence is the voice that calls you beloved. The same heart that broke for a lost world is the heart that beats with joy at the sound of your name. You are not too small for my plans. You are exactly the size I designed, and I do not make mistakes. So trust me now, as you have trusted me through the fire. Trust me now, as you trusted me through the flood. Trust me now, as you trusted me through the silence and the waiting and the long dark night of almost giving up. Trust me now, for the morning has come. The sun is breaking over the horizon of your life, and the light you are about to walk into will warm every cold place, illuminate every shadowed corner, and reveal the path I have been preparing for you since before time began. Walk forward, my child. Walk forward without fear. Walk forward without looking back. Walk forward into the destiny that has your name written on it in letters of grace. I am with you. I have always been with you. I will always be with you. And nothing in all creation will ever change that. Not the mistakes you have made, not the doubts you have carried, not the days you could not feel me, not the nights you screamed into the void, not the enemy's accusations, not the world's rejection, not even your own unbelief. Nothing can separate you from my love. Nothing can cancel your destiny. Nothing can undo what I have done in you and for you and through you. You are mine, forever, and forever has just begun.